You felt it before. That moment when you pull away, just a little, and suddenly, they're chasing you, calling more, texting faster, wondering where you went, why you went cold. It doesn't make logical sense. You weren't mean. You weren't playing games. You just stopped caring. And suddenly, you became magnetic. What if I told you that wasn't luck? That it wasn't random, or coincidence, or some strange twist of fate? What if that one moment when you finally stopped giving a damn was the most powerful shift in your psychology you've ever had? Because here's the truth. People want what they can't easily have. And when you give someone everything, all at once, without making them earn it, they don't value it. That's not rejection. That's psychology. That's hardwired human nature. Let's be real. Right now you might be stuck in a cycle. Always reaching, always texting first, always explaining yourself, overgiving, over-trying, overcompensating. And what do you get back? Silence, mixed signals, the constant feeling that you're not enough unless you try harder. But today, we flip the script. Because there's a version of you, calm, confident, magnetic, that doesn't chase anyone. A version of you that walks into a room and pulls attention without a word. A version of you that doesn't need to convince, prove, or beg, because you are the prize. And when that version of you comes out, they'll want you more. Not because you're playing games, but because you've stopped placing your worth in their hands. Let me break it down. Humans are wired for value seeking. The harder something is to get, the more we obsess over it. And the easier it is to get, the faster we forget about it. That's why the most magnetic people are always the ones who don't seem to care so much. Not because they're heartless, but because they're full. Their value doesn't hinge on who texts back. Their worth isn't waiting for outside approval. And when you radiate that, you become rare. You become the one they can't stop thinking about. You become the story they tell their friends. The I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about them person. So if you've ever been ghosted, overlooked, or undervalued, if you've ever felt like the more you cared, the less they did, then this isn't just a video for you. It's a wake-up call. Because the secret to turning everything around, the respect, the attention, the desire, it's not in trying harder, it's in letting go. It's in becoming so confident, so whole, so locked into your own path, that people feel lucky just to have a sliver of your time. This isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about actually not caring and being free. So here's what's coming. You'll learn why overeagerness repels, how disinterest creates obsession, and how to use this in dating, relationships, even business. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why power flows to those who care less, and how to tap into that power without losing your soul. Like this video and subscribe to the Power Playbook, because you deserve tools that actually change your life. Ready? This is the shift you've been waiting for. From the time you were a kid, you were taught a dangerous lie. If you want something bad enough, try harder. In school, in sports, in work, maybe even in love, you were told, more effort equals more reward. And for a while, it made sense. You worked harder, showed up more, cared more. But when it came to people, the opposite happened. You cared more, and they cared less. You showed up consistently, and they pulled away. You gave more of your heart, your time, your attention, and all you got back was breadcrumbs. So what gives? Here's the hard truth. Trying harder doesn't make people value you. It makes them comfortable taking you for granted. Because in human psychology, value is perception, not effort. And when your energy says, I need you, people instinctively feel they have the upper hand. It's not malicious, it's biological. When something or someone is too available, our brain assumes it must not be that valuable. It's the same reason you scroll past 90% of what's handed to you for free, but feel a rush chasing something just out of reach. It's not your fault. You were trained to believe that effort equals worth. But in relationships, effort without boundaries equals weakness in their eyes, even if it comes from the most loving place. Now let's go deeper. You've probably felt that panic when someone pulls away. So you lean in, you text again, you explain yourself. You apologize even when you're not wrong. But what you're really doing, you're trying to negotiate your worth. You're telling them subtly, please see me, please choose me. And that energy, it's repellent. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're signaling lack instead of value. You might think, but I was just being honest. I was showing them I cared. And yes, you were. But honesty without self-worth turns into desperation. Here's the shift. The people who are truly magnetic, who draw others in without even trying, aren't always the best-looking, richest, or smartest. They're the ones who don't seek validation. They walk in truth. They're not cold, but they're complete. They're warm when it matters, but never chasing. Never begging, never explaining. Because their value is not a debate. Now I want you to pause and reflect. Where in your life have you been trying too hard for someone's attention, approval, or love? Where have you confused effort with power? Where have you abandoned your own energy just to hold on to someone else's? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary. Because this is where the transformation starts. You're not weak. You're not too emotional. You're not too much. You're just misdirecting your energy. Trying harder isn't noble when it comes from fear. Trying harder won't earn you love when it comes from lack. Trying harder won't get you the respect you crave, because respect starts with restraint. The truth is, you don't need to try harder. You need to stand still in your worth and let the right things be drawn to you, not chased down by you. So here's what we're about to do. We're going to break this programming. We're going to replace try harder with value higher. We're going to build you a mindset that attracts, commands, and owns power without saying a word. Because when you finally stop chasing, they finally start noticing. And when you stop trying to prove yourself, people start proving themselves to you. Let the game shift begin. Let's talk about mystery. Because there's something most people never understand about human desire. What we don't fully understand, we can't stop thinking about. And that's where your power lives. The most magnetic people aren't the loudest, flashiest, or most perfect. They're the ones who leave just enough unanswered. They reveal enough to be real, but withhold enough to remain intriguing. Think about it. When someone opens up too much, too fast, you might feel a flicker of connection. But often it's followed by discomfort. Why? Because what's fully revealed is no longer exciting, no longer curious, no longer alive in the mind. Your brain doesn't chase what's predictable. It chases what's slightly out of reach. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever sent a long, vulnerable text and got a dry one-word reply? Ever poured out your emotions only to be left on read? Ever explained yourself so much that you lost all your mystery? You were doing what you thought was right, being honest, being open, being real. But real doesn't have to mean transparent to the point of emptiness. See, attraction, whether romantic, social, or professional, lives in tension. A subtle electric space between I know you and I want to know more. When you're too available emotionally, when you spell everything out, when you're always explaining your feelings, motives, fears, dreams, day after day, there's no chase, there's no tension, and there's no mystery left. You become fully consumed and quickly discarded. Now, this doesn't mean being fake. It doesn't mean playing games. It means being intentional about how much of yourself you give and when. Because the person who gives their full emotional world away too soon is the person who's hoping to be validated. And people can feel that energy even when you're saying all the right things. Let me give you a simple truth. Emotional restraint creates emotional reward. When you speak with purpose instead of panic, when you share pieces instead of everything, when you allow silence instead of over-explaining, you activate the brain's greatest addiction, curiosity. And curiosity is what keeps people obsessed. Think about the last movie that stayed in your head. It probably didn't spoon-feed you every detail. It gave you hints, shadows, open loops. It left just enough unsaid to pull you in deeper. That's what mystery does. It pulls. And you need to stop handing out full access to your soul in the first chapter. You need to stop trying to prove you're different in the first date, the first text, the first connection. You are the mystery. You are the story they want to unfold, not the instruction manual they skim once and forget. Here's what this looks like in practice. You stop responding immediately to every message. You stop over-explaining your boundaries and just enforce them. You start speaking less from please understand me and more from this is where I stand. You let silence hang in the air without rushing to fill it. You let people wonder, not because you're being manipulative, but because you're no longer begging to be known. Because real value doesn't chase validation. It holds space and lets the world come to it. So ask yourself, where are you leaking mystery by over-disclosing? Where are you oversharing just to feel secure? Where are you giving away your emotional power to be liked, chosen, or understood? This is where you reclaim that energy, not by pretending, but by owning your silence, by becoming comfortable not being fully known right away. Because when you control what you reveal, you control how you're perceived. And in a world addicted to attention, the person who withholds it becomes unforgettable. There's a phrase you've probably heard 1,000 times: be emotionally available. It sounds healthy, mature, evolved. But here's the problem: you took it too far. You made yourself too available, too responsive, too open, too ready. Every time they needed reassurance, you gave it. Every time they pulled away, you chased. Every time they paused, you filled the silence. And at first, it felt like love. It felt like connection. It felt like doing the right thing. But over time, something shifted. They stopped responding. They stopped appreciating. They stopped showing up with the same energy. And deep inside, you started wondering, what happened? The answer is simple, but it hurts. You gave more than they earned. You offered consistency to someone who gave you confusion. You brought your heart to someone who brought their ego. And it's not your fault. You were just trying to be emotionally available. But emotional availability without boundaries isn't strength, it's self-abandonment. Here's what most people get wrong. Being emotionally available doesn't mean being constantly accessible. It doesn't mean answering every message instantly. It doesn't mean being a therapist, a savior, or an emotional crutch. It doesn't mean giving your vulnerability away just because someone seems interested. Real emotional power comes from selective availability, from showing up for the right people at the right time with the right energy, not just giving yourself away to whoever happens to be in front of you. When you're too emotionally available to the wrong people, here's what happens. You start internalizing their emotional neglect. You start chasing their validation like it's your job. You start thinking you're the problem when really you were just over-offering. And people notice that. They might not say it, but they feel it. Your over-accessibility creates an imbalance. You become the giver, and they become the taker. You become the safe option, not the desired one. And nothing kills attraction faster than the feeling that someone will be there no matter how they treat you. Let that sink in. Now here's the shift. Emotionally available doesn't mean emotionally exposed. It means being grounded in your own feelings, not consumed by someone else's. It means being open, but not oversharing. It means being responsive, but not reactive. You don't need to always answer the phone. You don't need to reply in 5 seconds. You don't need to solve their mood swings, decode their silence, or prove your worth through constant reassurance. You're not a fixer. You're not a doormat. You're not a 24/7 emotional vending machine. You are a person of value. And value is not always available. Think of the most respected people you know. The ones with power, poise, presence. Are they constantly available? Constantly explaining? Constantly chasing? No. They move with intention. They speak when they choose. They create emotional gravity, not noise. You can still be kind, still be real, still be connected. But your presence must be earned. Because when you become available to everyone, you become invisible to the one who actually matters. You. So from now on, you don't rush to reply. You don't open up just because they seem curious. You don't abandon your schedule to fit into their chaos. You don't treat attention like approval. You treat your time, your energy, and your emotions as sacred. Because the truth is, the less available you are to people who haven't earned your access, the more they'll crave it, the more they'll respect it, the more they'll wonder why your silence feels louder than their noise. That's emotional power. That's the new game. And now you're playing it on your terms. Let's rip the mask off. You've been conditioned, programmed to crave one thing more than anything else: to be chosen. From the moment you were young, you were taught to seek approval. Be the favorite student, the golden child, the friend everyone liked, the partner who always gave more. You learned that being picked meant being worthy, and so you shaped yourself. You bent, you morphed, you became more agreeable, less threatening, easier to handle. Why? Because if they chose you, it meant you were good enough. It meant you had value. It meant you finally mattered. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you seek to be chosen, you've already given up your power. Because when you need to be chosen, you place yourself in a position of emotional poverty. You begin to perform instead of lead. You ask, am I enough? Instead of declaring, this is who I am. Let that hit you. Every time you obsess over someone liking you, every time you rewrite a text 10 times, every time you compromise your standards just to keep someone around, you're screaming one thing with your energy. Please pick me. And that energy repels, not because people are cruel, but because people subconsciously respond to status signals. And the pick me energy says, I don't see my own value, so I need you to validate it for me. It's soft, it's unstable, it's unattractive. Here's what you need to know. The most magnetic people, the ones who command attention and respect, don't need to be chosen. They choose. They decide who gets access. They don't audition. They don't seek approval. They don't explain. They move with the mindset that their presence is the prize. And guess what happens? People feel it. People lean in. People chase them. Because when you no longer need to be picked, you flip the dynamic. You go from the applicant to the CEO, from the follower to the force. Now I know this is scary at first. You might think, but what if they leave? What if I'm alone? What if no one chooses me? But let me ask you this. Why would you want to be chosen by someone who only values you when you devalue yourself? You don't want to be chosen because you chased. You don't want to be liked because you performed. You don't want attention because you begged. You want connection that's real, respect that's mutual, desire that's earned. And you don't get that by playing small. You get that by owning your energy. Here's what this looks like starting today. You stop over-texting just to stay on someone's radar. You stop rearranging your life for people who don't respect your time. You stop chasing anyone who makes you feel like you're not enough. You walk in the room like you belong, not because of ego, but because you finally stopped outsourcing your worth. You don't need to be chosen anymore, because you're already whole. Let others prove themselves to you. Let them qualify for your time, your space, your energy. Let them feel what it's like to wonder if they're enough for you. Because when you stop needing to be chosen, you become unforgettable. There's a reason some people can walk into a room and own it without saying a word. It's not charm, not wealth, not status. It's energy. And more specifically, it's what I call pull energy. Most people operate with push energy. They try to impress, convince, perform. They overtext, overshare, overreach. They try to make people care. But pull energy, it doesn't chase. It doesn't beg. It doesn't perform. It attracts. It creates a gravitational field around you where people feel compelled to lean in, wonder, ask, follow. It's not magic, it's presence. And it's trainable. Here's how it works. Push says, look at me, pick me, validate me. Pull says, I'm good either way. Come closer if you want, but I'm not here to entertain you. Pull energy is calm, it's rooted, it's patient, and it's devastatingly powerful. Let me show you what it looks like in practice. Number 1, push energy. You send double text when they don't respond. You overshare early, trying to build instant intimacy. You constantly seek reassurance. Are we okay? Did I do something wrong? You mirror their mood, trying to stay connected. You react emotionally the moment something feels off. Number 2, pull energy. You don't chase delayed responses. You give space and focus on your life. You let silence breathe. You're not afraid of the unknown. You assume your worth is intact, regardless of their mood. You don't need to fix the vibe, you are the vibe. You stay still in moments where others panic, and that stillness radiates power. Here's the psychology behind it. Humans are wired to pursue what feels scarce and self-contained. The person who doesn't need you but is open to you becomes magnetic. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're signaling, I'm not desperate for your approval, but if you're aligned with my energy, I welcome you in. That's rare. And that's what pulls people in deeper than any text, compliment, or romantic gesture ever could. Now, if you've lived most of your life in push mode, this will feel weird at first. You might think, but won't they think I don't care? Won't I lose them if I don't try harder? Won't silence push them away? Here's the truth. If silence pushes them away, they were already halfway out the door. If space breaks the connection, it wasn't a connection, it was dependency. People don't leave because you pull back. They leave because they were only ever there for the push. And now, you're upgrading. You're not the pursuer anymore. You're the anchor. You're the one who holds the vibe, the power, the frame. And here's what that shift creates. They notice your absence. They respect your space. They second-guess themselves instead of you. They chase not because you're cold, but because you're confident. Pull energy says, I know who I am. I know what I bring, and I don't need to prove it. And that right there makes you unforgettable. True emotional detachment is strength. It's the habit of keeping your center, no matter what they do, say, or don't say. Because here's the brutal truth. When your emotions hinge on someone else's actions, you're no longer in control. And every time you text, wait, overthink, spiral, every time your mood rises and falls with their replies, reactions, or attention, you give them emotional leverage over your life. And it's exhausting, isn't it? You can't sleep. You replay conversations. You analyze what they meant. One moment you feel seen, the next invisible. You're on an emotional roller coaster they don't even realize they're driving. It's time to get off that ride, because you were never meant to be hooked on someone's inconsistency. You were meant to be rooted in your own inner gravity. And that starts with this habit. I feel what I feel, but I don't let it control what I do. You stop reacting. You stop spiraling. You stop chasing emotional highs from people who can't give you peace. Instead, you observe. You slow down. You get curious about your feelings, without acting on every single one. Because detachment isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering it. Think of it like this. You're the sky. Your emotions are the weather. Storms come, rain falls, winds shift. But the sky doesn't try to stop it. The sky just holds it. Calm, vast, grounded. When someone pulls away, detachment says, that's data, not doom. Let's see what happens. When someone flakes, detachment says, that tells me who they are, not who I am. When someone tries to manipulate you with silence or mixed signals, detachment says, I don't chase confusion. I choose peace. That's real confidence. That's unshakable energy. Now here's the habit you can build starting today. It's called the emotional detachment practice. Pause before reacting. If something triggers you, don't act immediately. Breathe, feel, let the emotion move through without responding. Ask yourself, is this about them or me? Most of the time, you'll find the anxiety isn't about the person. It's about the story you're telling yourself. Practice non-response. Not everything needs a reply. Let silence be your power. The more you sit in quiet confidence, the louder your presence becomes. Redirect your energy. Instead of stalking profiles, rewriting texts, or rereading messages, move. Go lift, create something, build, progress. Repeat the mantra, my peace is not for sale. You're done trading inner calm for outer attention. Here's what happens when you master this. You stop overanalyzing everything. People start noticing your shift and chasing your calm. You become the one they respect, not the one they test. Because emotional detachment doesn't make you heartless, it makes you powerful. You're no longer a puppet to their energy. You're the one holding the frame. You're the one radiating the energy of, you don't control me, I do. That's a vibe they can't ignore. There's a reason certain people are instantly respected, why their no carries weight, why their time feels scarce, their energy feels premium, and their presence feels like a gift. They've built what most never even realize they need, a high-value frame. It's not arrogance. It's not fake confidence. It's not about flexing wealth, followers, or looks. A high-value frame is a mindset, a lens you live through. It shapes every interaction, every decision, every boundary, and once you adopt it, everything changes. Because here's the truth. The world reflects the frame you hold about yourself. If you move like you're unsure, others will question your worth. If you move like you're replaceable, they'll treat you that way. If you move like you don't need anyone, ironically, people feel they need you. So what exactly is a high-value frame? It's living with the belief that your time, attention, and presence are earned, not given away freely. It's walking into a room and knowing, I don't compete, I align. You're no longer trying to be enough for everyone. You're deciding who is enough for you. Let's break this down. What the high-value frame looks like in action. You don't rush to respond to emotional chaos. You don't explain your boundaries, you enforce them. You don't chase, you observe and decide. You don't fear losing someone, because you are the opportunity. Most people are living in the opposite frame. They're asking, do they like me? Am I doing enough? Should I tone myself down to keep them around? But a high-value person isn't asking those questions. They're asking, do they deserve me? Are they aligned with my standards? Are they ready for someone at my level? You feel the shift? One frame is desperate for approval. The other filters for alignment. This is why powerful people don't try to be mysterious or magnetic. They just are. Because their energy says, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be real. I'm here to be rare. And here's your next level. You don't just learn this frame, you live it. You embody it in your relationships, your messages, your presence, your goals. But to fully install it, you need tools. Something to recalibrate your thoughts, self-talk, and patterns on a deeper level. At this point, the Positive Mindset Blueprint can help you take this further. It's your tool to break negative loops and rewire unstoppable confidence. The link is in the description below. This isn't fluff. It's not hype. It's how you finally flip your inner script and stop giving your power away to people who don't even know what to do with it. Because from here on out, you don't beg, you don't prove, you don't chase, you choose, you elevate, you attract. You are the value, and when you live like that, they feel it, they chase it, they respect it, because the energy you carry is no longer asking for love, it's commanding it. So now you've got the mindset. You understand pull energy. You've broken the pick-me pattern. You're locked into your worth and ready to live like someone who doesn't chase but attracts. But how does that look in action? Because theory is nothing without strategy, and confidence that only lives in your mind will crumble the moment you face tension in real life. This is where we lock in high-value execution. Let's go situation by situation. 1. Texting and messaging. The biggest place people lose their frame is right in their hands. The phone. If someone takes hours to reply, you feel the urge to match their energy or overcompensate. You send long messages, double texts, emojis, paragraphs. Stop. A high-value frame means you never chase clarity. You let the silence speak. You never fill the gap first. Here's how it looks. They go cold, you go calm. They delay, you don't remind, you observe. They play hot and cold, you don't play. You show presence when it's earned, not when it's inconsistent. The truth, people feel when you stop being available on command. And that's when the dynamic flips. 2. Dating and romantic interest. Let's say you're attracted to someone. In the past, maybe you'd show interest quickly, try to prove you're different, plan everything, keep the conversation alive. But now, you let space do the work. You let your energy walk into the room before you speak. You ask real questions, not to impress, but to assess. And most importantly, you date to discover, not to earn. You stop seeking chemistry. You start filtering for compatibility. You don't hope they choose you. You pay attention to whether they're even worthy of your emotional world. The real flex is being hard to impress. 3. Friendships and social dynamics. Ever been the one who always reaches out first? Always plans the hangout? Always gives more support, more time, more energy? That stops here. Because even in friendships, your energy should be reciprocated, not extracted. If someone goes silent until they need you, watch. Don't chase. If someone disappears until it's convenient, observe. Don't explain. You are not the emotional anchor for people who refuse to grow. You can be kind without being available. You can care without being used. High-value friendships are mutual. The rest, let them fade. 4. Business and negotiation. In business, your value is reflected not just in what you offer, but in how you carry yourself. If you underprice, overdeliver, or say yes too fast, you send a signal. I need you more than you need me. Flip it. High-value professionals know their worth and never discount it for approval. Walk away from bad deals without flinching. Don't chase opportunity. They create it. Command respect not with ego, but with boundaries. Remember, scarcity raises perception. If you're always available, you feel replaceable. But when your time is protected, people treat it like gold. Bonus: when people push back, here's the kicker. When you raise your standards, some people will resist. They'll say you've changed. They'll call you distant, cold, arrogant. You're not. You're just no longer participating in one-sided dynamics. They'll either rise to meet you or remove themselves. And either outcome is a win. Because your life isn't a democracy. It's a selection process. And now, you're done handing out access to people who haven't earned it. By now, you've upgraded your mindset. You've stopped chasing, stopped explaining, stopped overgiving. You've stepped into a space where your energy leads and others follow. But here's the truth no one talks about. Even the most powerful frame can collapse if you don't protect it. Because the world will test you. People will push. Old patterns will whisper. Triggers will try to drag you back into the emotional chaos you just escaped. So now, you build emotional armor. Not to wall yourself off, but to guard your power. Because respect isn't earned through effort, it's earned through boundaries. Let's break it down. 1. Stop explaining yourself. One of the fastest ways people lose respect is by over-explaining why you didn't reply, why you didn't show up, why your boundary exists, why your energy changed. But here's the truth. People who value you don't need long explanations, and people who don't value you will never be satisfied with one. So stop shrinking your truth to fit their comfort. Stop turning your no into a soft maybe. Stop padding your decisions just to be liked. Respect flows when you say less and mean it more. 2. Set boundaries without emotion. Here's a mistake most people make. They wait until they're hurt, triggered, or boiling with resentment before setting boundaries. But boundaries set in anger come off as drama. Boundaries set with calm come off as power. So instead of, "You never show up for me and I'm tired of it," try, "I only invest in people who reciprocate. If that changes, let me know." Instead of, "You're toxic and I can't take this anymore," try, "I need space from energy that drains me." Wishing you well. No yelling, no emotional blow-up, no power leak, just truth. Quietly delivered, boldly held. 3. Hold the frame. Under pressure, you will be tested. Someone you like will pull away. Someone inconsistent will reappear. Someone you cut off will try to bait you back in. They'll ask, "What happened to you?" They'll say, "You're acting different." They'll try to make you feel guilty for evolving. And that's the moment, that's the battlefield. You either fall back into comfort or hold your frame like your peace depends on it, because it does. You owe no one the older version of yourself. You owe no one access to a healed version of you, while they're still committed to chaos. 4. Magnetic boundaries attract you. Might think boundaries push people away, but the truth? Weak boundaries push away the right people. Strong boundaries push away the wrong ones and pull in the real. When you hold your time sacred, the right people respect it. When you don't over-explain, the right people don't question you. When you walk away from inconsistency, the right people step up. Because high-value energy doesn't repel love, it filters it. 5. Every time you're tempted to react, ask, "Does this protect my peace or feed my ego?" Because the ego wants revenge, validation, attention. But the soul wants peace, alignment, freedom. And if you've made it this far, your soul is ready to lead. You don't argue with low-frequency energy anymore. You don't negotiate with disrespect. You don't chase people who confuse your presence with convenience. You simply return to your center. And when you live from your center, everything else orbits you. We've now completed the full deep dive. Up next, we light the fire. You've been patient. You've done the work. You've watched the videos, read the books. You've journaled, waited, hoped, healed. And yet, here you are, still wondering why they don't see you, why you're not appreciated, why you're still attracting the same patterns, the same pain, the same people who only show up when it's convenient for them. It's time to hear the truth. No one is coming to save you. Not the person who ghosted you. Not the one who might change. Not the validation you're waiting for. Not the love you keep begging the world to hand you. No one is going to knock on your door and say, "You've suffered enough. Here's everything you deserve." That moment, it's not coming. And that's not a tragedy. It's your liberation. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone else to choose you is the moment you start choosing yourself. No more waiting for the text. No more hoping they'll see your worth. No more shrinking, bending, explaining just to not be abandoned. You are done auditioning for rooms you were born to own. You are done giving your power to people who don't even know what to do with it. You are done hoping someone else will wake up and finally realize your value. Because the only one who needs to wake up is you. It's time to remember, you're not hard to love. You're not too much. You're not needy. You're just powerful as hell, and they didn't know how to hold it. But now, you do. And you don't need permission to rise. You don't need closure to move on. You don't need a perfect moment to reclaim your life. You just need a choice. Right here, right now, to stop waiting and start becoming. Think about it. What if every ounce of pain they caused was actually the activation? What if the heartbreak was the spark? What if the ghosting, the rejection, the confusion wasn't a curse, but a divine setup to remind you who the hell you are? Because maybe that version of you, the one who over-explained, overgave, overstayed, had to die for this one to be born. And this version doesn't wait, doesn't beg, doesn't break for people who couldn't hold your light. This version builds. This version creates gravity. This version walks into any room knowing, I am the storm, I am the shift, I am the standard. And anyone who can't meet that energy, they can leave. With silence, with love, but without access. Because your presence is no longer a gift handed out to the ungrateful. It's a privilege earned only by the aligned. Now breathe. Let that settle in your chest. You've spent enough time hoping they'd come back. Now it's your turn to come back to you. No one is coming to save you. And that's the best news you'll ever hear, because that means you're in charge now. Let's get brutally honest right now. You say you want respect. You say you want to stop chasing. You say you want peace, power, love, clarity. But your actions, they're still rooted in fear. You still answer texts from people who've shown you nothing but confusion. You still let inconsistency back into your life because you're afraid of silence. You still shrink your standards to avoid being too difficult. Let's call it out for what it is. You're not waiting on them. You're hiding from yourself. You're using hope as a hiding place. You're using potential as an excuse to stay in cycles that kill your confidence. You're using the fantasy of what could be to avoid the decision of what is. But guess what? Excuses don't care about your potential. They don't care how much love you gave. They don't care how many chances you offered. They don't care how hard you tried. Excuses are silent killers. They don't destroy you instantly. They destroy you slowly. 1 second guess, one over apology, one late night text at a time. Until one day, you wake up and realize you've become a side character in your own life. And that ends now. You want change? It starts with a decision, a line in the sand, a moment where you stop just consuming content and start becoming the content. A moment where you say, I don't care how long it's been. I don't care what I tolerated. I don't care what I lost. From this moment forward, I become something no one can ignore. Because transformation doesn't wait. It doesn't ask for the perfect timing, the perfect mood, or the perfect partner. It demands you decide. To walk away when your heart is begging you to stay. To choose silence when your ego wants to fight. To rebuild your self-respect, not with words but with action. You don't need another sign. The sign was when they ignored you. The sign was when they stopped trying. The sign was when your body started aching from all the ways you betrayed yourself. And now you listen to the signal. Not theirs. Yours. That voice inside that says, you were never meant to beg. You were born to lead. You don't need closure. You need discipline. You don't need motivation. You need identity. You don't need another chance with them. You need a first chance with you. From this moment forward, you stop explaining your energy shift. You stop negotiating your standards. You stop returning to the versions of you that had no boundaries, no clarity, no power. You install this one belief loud and permanent. I don't chase. I don't beg. I don't prove. I build. You're no longer hoping for the old life to come back. You're building a new one so magnetic they won't even recognize you. So burn the excuses, shatter the patterns, and make the quiet soul-level decision. This is the version I'm becoming, and there's no going back. You've done the inner work. You've shifted your mindset, reclaimed your energy, burned the excuses. Now it's time to build momentum, one simple action at a time. Because change isn't built in some dramatic moment. It's built in the small, repeatable choices you make every day. And it starts now. And how you treat yourself. 1. No more check-in texts. Stop texting people just to make sure they still care. Stop reaching out just to keep the energy going. If they want you, they'll show up. And if they don't, that is your answer. Your move. Delete any draft note or message that sounds like, hey, just checking in. How have you been? Wasn't sure if you saw my last message. That's old energy. Let it die. 2. Build a wall around your morning. The first 30 minutes of your day belong to you. Not to them, not to messages, not to notifications. Your move. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. Instead, hydrate, stretch, write 3 things you're building. Look in the mirror and say out loud, I don't chase, I attract. I am the energy they remember. You're not reacting to the world, you're creating it. 3. Master the 3-second rule. Someone says something passive-aggressive. Someone sends a late-night do-up text. Someone drops a manipulative comment to test your energy. Most people respond immediately, emotionally, desperately. Not you. Your move. Pause for 3 full seconds before responding or don't respond at all. This short delay rewires your power. It shifts the dynamic instantly. It says, I'm not available for games, chaos, or ego tests. 4. Audit your environment weekly. Every week, ask yourself, who did I spend the most time thinking about? Did they deserve that space in my head? Is this energy building me or bleeding me? Your move, unfollow one person, mute one name, block one energy vampire, without guilt. If someone's presence in your life is built on inconsistency or confusion, remove the option. Clarity is your new standard. 5. The one-sentence journal rule. At the end of each day, write this. Today I protected my power by, then finish the sentence. It could be ignoring their message, holding my boundary at work, saying no when I wanted to say yes. That one sentence becomes your proof, and proof stacks confidence. And a bonus, choose your power phrase. Pick a single phrase you repeat every time old patterns try to creep back in. Here are a few. That's not my story anymore. I don't chase, I choose. If it's confusing, it's a no. Silence is a strategy, not a punishment. My energy is earned, not assumed. Write it on your phone screen. Say it when you feel weak. Let it become your anchor. Predictable, unshakable. These medium difficulty moves are how you stop getting breadcrumbed, ghosted, and manipulated, and start commanding attention without saying a word. They take courage, but if you do them consistently, you'll never have to chase anything again. 1. Leave messages on read on purpose. Most people panic at silence. They feel guilty if they don't respond fast. They believe that being nice means being constantly available. High-value move. You read it, breathe, wait. Maybe you reply in an hour. Maybe you don't reply at all. Why? Because access to your energy is a privilege. If the message was low effort, vague, manipulative, or purely about them, it doesn't deserve an immediate or any response. You're not punishing, you're filtering. 2. Say I'm not available for that without explaining. Try it. The next time someone pressures you, tests your boundaries, or crosses a line, don't justify. Don't beg for understanding. Just say, I'm not available for that. Not I'm sorry. Not I just have a lot going on. Not maybe later. Clean, firm, unapologetic. That phrase disarms takers and commands respect. You don't explain your standards. You enforce them. 3. Practice mirror energy, consciously. This is how you regain balance in conversations. If they're short, you become brief. If they're slow to respond, you mirror the rhythm. If they're distant, you don't get louder, you get quieter. Mirror energy isn't playing games. It's saying, I won't overcompensate for someone else's effort ever again. This trains people how to show up for you. 4. Walk away while it still hurts. This one's hard, but it's elite. When something doesn't feel right, when a person keeps pulling you into cycles, when your gut is screaming no but your heart is addicted to the hope, walk. Even if it hurts, even if it's confusing, even if you almost had what you wanted. Because high-value people don't wait for the worst to walk away. They trust the early signals and protect their future peace. 5. Hold your silence in a power clash. Someone disrespects you. Someone raises their voice. Someone tries to get a reaction. The average person matches the energy. You don't. You hold strategic silence. You breathe. You hold eye contact. You let them feel the weight of their own energy. Nothing is more disarming than calm strength. And silence, when held with intention, is dominance. For 6. Reverse the approval loop. Instead of wondering, do they like me? Do they still want me? Ask, am I impressed by how they show up consistently? Do they treat my time like it's valuable? Are they aligned with the life I'm building? If the answer isn't a full yes, energy revoked. This reversal flips you from auditioning to selecting. And when you live from this frame, they feel it fast. These medium power moves are what separate trying to be high value from becoming high value. You're not just changing how you act, you're changing what you tolerate. And that change, it rewrites your reality. This isn't for everyone, because these moves, they're uncomfortable. They require courage, restraint, and complete self-trust. But when you master them, you become undeniable. Not just to others, but to yourself. You stop hoping people will see your worth, and start acting like it's a non-negotiable. Let's begin. 1. Cut off access without drama. No warning, no long goodbye. No let me explain how you hurt me. If someone disrespects you, confuses you, or drains your energy consistently, you go silent. You go still. You cut access, not because you're cold, but because you're done bleeding for people who can't stop cutting. High-value people don't create scenes, they create consequences. And when you move like that, they feel the shift. They know something sacred just became unavailable. They realize you weren't bluffing. 2. Become unreachable during emotional highs. The next time you're triggered, tempted to rage text, over-explain, or demand clarity, disappear. Not as a tactic, but as a ritual. Because the most dangerous thing you can do in a low-value moment is respond from it. Your move? Go quiet, go internal. Let your emotions rise and fall without handing them over to someone else. That discipline rewires your nervous system to become unshakable. 3. Say no to what you used to beg for. That person who suddenly wants to catch up. That friend who ghosted you when you needed them most. That job, deal, opportunity that once made you feel lucky to be considered. Now, you say no, and you say it with calm power. Not to hurt them, to honor you. You're not going backward just because they woke up too late. You're not revisiting pain to prove you've healed. You're not available for what you've outgrown. That kind of reversal sends a message louder than any speech. This version of me doesn't live there anymore. 4. End a cycle without closure. One of the most advanced moves in energy mastery, letting go without a final answer. No why, no let's just talk one last time, no perfect conclusion. You stop needing their clarity, because your peace is your closure now. And here's what happens when you master that. Your nervous system stabilizes, your magnetism increases, and ironically, they often come back. Why? Because people always return to where the energy felt the most grounded. But by then, you're unreachable. And they're not coming back to the same version of you. They're chasing a ghost. 5. Become mysterious by living fully. Here's the highest level move you can make. You stop making them the story. You stop checking the phone. You stop measuring your worth in likes, calls, texts, or attention. You go build your life. You train. You write. You travel. You create. You surround yourself with builders, not beggars. You become so busy living with depth, peace, and fire that people feel your presence without your posts. That's when they notice. That's when they reach. That's when they obsess. But by then, you're in motion. And you don't chase what you've already outgrown. You've now installed a new operating system. From here on out, you don't talk power. You move in it. Every conversation, every boundary, every silence, it all communicates the same thing. This energy is earned. And the more you live from that truth, the more your world will reorganize to match your new frequency. You installed identity, but now comes the most critical moment of all, the quiet moment, the morning after the glow, the test, when no one's watching. And here's the truth, you will be tempted to fall back. Someone from the past will pop up. An old pattern will try to sneak back in. A voice in your head will whisper, maybe it wasn't so bad, but now you know better. Because you've outgrown the version of you who needed to be liked by everyone. You've outgrown the identity that traded peace for attention. And from this point on, you walk with a new knowing, you are not for everyone. And that is power. Not everyone will understand your silence. Let them wonder. Not everyone will like your boundaries. Let them leave. Not everyone will be ready for your energy. Let them break. You are not here to be digestible. You are not here to be chosen by the masses. You are here to choose yourself so powerfully, so relentlessly, that only the aligned can stay in your orbit. Because when you're no longer afraid to be misunderstood, ignored, or walked away from, you become limitless. Let me ask you something. Would you rather be liked or respected? Would you rather be remembered for your compliance or your presence? Would you rather blend in or become the kind of person that shifts a room simply by showing up? That's the power you now hold. And it doesn't come from noise. It comes from stillness. You don't chase energy. You hold it. You don't prove value. You own it. You don't fear loss because you know who you are without them. That's real freedom. That's unshakable self-respect. That's the version of you the world can't dilute. So next time you feel tempted to text the person you cut off, to explain a boundary to someone who doesn't even value it, to shrink so someone else can stay comfortable, Pause, breathe, and repeat this. I am not for everyone. I don't chase. I don't beg. I don't prove. I choose. I build. I hold. My energy is rare, and I only give it where it's returned. Say it, feel it, live it, because when you believe it deep in your nervous system, no one can knock you off your path. Not rejection, not silence, not loss. Let's pause for a moment. Look at everything you've just walked through. You dismantled the lies, that you had to chase love, that your worth lived in someone else's hands. That silence meant weakness, and rejection meant failure. You flipped every script they gave you, and now, you are not the same. Because this was never just a video. This was a funeral for your past self. For the overthinker, for the people pleaser, for the one who waited for closure, begged for attention, and broke yourself just to be enough. That version, gone. And what's rising in its place is something the world isn't ready for. Someone who doesn't need permission. Someone who doesn't beg for clarity. Someone who builds instead of chases. Let me really ask you, one last time. Are you ready to stop watching other people live your dream? And start becoming the one who commands attention without asking for it? Because this is it. This is the moment. Not next week, not after they text back, not when you feel ready. Now. You're not here to entertain people who couldn't see your value. You're here to build a life so aligned, so full, so magnetic, that silence from the wrong people becomes your peace, not your punishment. Let them wonder why you stopped replying. Let them regret not showing up when you were soft and open. Let them watch the version of you they could have had, but never earned. Because from this point forward, your story isn't about pain, it's about power. Your path is clear, your standard is set, and your energy, untouchable. So here's your final call. Will you keep watching other people live your dream? Or start building it? Comment your breakthrough. Like if this hit home. And most importantly, subscribe to the Power Playbook. Your journey starts now.